Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would do a video talking about the worth of the EFV. Basically, what value will it have on the market when it comes out? Now, the event itself for the EFV, the Semper Fidelis one, isn't actually that hard. It's a long event, 9 marks of distinction required, and also the actual amount of mission score that you need in total for the coupon is pretty high. But also, it's no different to some of the other events we've had, such as stuff like the T-3485 Partisan earlier in the year, even stuff like the T-58, for example, and also many others that people have ground out with no real issues. Now, just to give you a little bit of an update, by the way, they did buff the EFV slightly. What they did is they changed its transmission, so it actually reverses instead of around 11 kilometers an hour, around 24 kilometers an hour right now, which I think is really good. Now, the simple fact is, though, it has a bunch of different factors which don't line up to actually make it a good vehicle at the BR that it's at, and that's going to be kind of the crippling factor. So we have an interesting setup here, right? We have a vehicle that will be okay, but not great at its BR. There's many other vehicles around this BR which are much more powerful than it, and also at the same time, it's going to be heavily grounded out because it's a ground vehicle, and also at the same time, it's an American ground vehicle, so there's going to be a huge supply of these things. And also at the same time, the demand for it is probably going to be decently high in the future, but at the time of when it comes out, probably not too crazy. So you're going to have a vehicle that's heavily ground out, and then on top of it, probably not going to be heavily bought because of how many people are going to grind it out. So the EFV itself is not looking great in terms of pricing. It's as simple as that. And if you have a look at previous vehicles over the last year, which have had similar events to it, such as the T-3485, the T-58, the T-86, which is also there, they are also not looking too shiny. So for example, the T-3485 Partisan, it's 16 Gaijin coin. That's it. That's all. Then also the T-86 is 12 Gaijin coin, which is incredibly low. The Sheer 2, which I would say is a much better vehicle and in a much better place than the EFV, has been on the market for over half a year, and it's only at 30 Gaijin coin right now, or 29 Gaijin coin. The Pheros, another really interesting light tank event vehicle, that is sat at 20 Gaijin coin. So all of these are incredibly low. Even the T44FM, a fantastic mid-tier premium from the Battle Pass, that is only 30 Gaijin coin, and that literally takes a month and a half to 2 months to actually grind out the vehicle for it. It's just wild how cheaply a lot of these things are, and I think that's just because there's so many people now who grind out these events just to be able to sell the vehicle. So the supplies of them are just through the roof. There are 900 T-3485s on the marketplace. There are 800 T-86s. There are still 1,200 T-80 Udus, which is still just sat there at 23 Gaijin coin. It's just kind of nuts. So the amount of people grinding these things is crazy, and I think the EFE is going to be the same thing. There's going to be a lot of people who look at it, go, oh, it's an American vehicle. Americans are going to want to buy it. They might not have enough time to grind it. I'm going to grind it and try and sell it, and it's just not going to be worth anything. Like, I could easily see this thing being 15 to 20 Gaijin coin, which is just wild to think about such a high echelon vehicle. But unfortunately, it's an event vehicle. It's not a premium. It has terrible turret rotation. It only has the 30mm Bushmaster 2, and it's at 9.3, and it's the size of a bus with a very, very low survivability rate because of the fact that all the crew is basically in the same area, so it's very, very easy to destroy. Even some of its other factors, like its mobility, yes, it has that kind of niche thing where it's going to be the first amphibious vehicle that is going to be fast in water. Most amphibious vehicles are incredibly slow in the water, so it is cool that you have that fact. But the simple thing about about it is that really doesn't matter. Like, it's not as if there's going to be a bunch of people like, oh, I want to buy this because of the fact that it's going to be really quick in the water, because the amount of maps where that's actually useful is very small, and it's going to be fun in like a custom battle every once in a while just to go, woo, we're going really fast, and then that's literally it. So I don't see that being a deciding factor for a lot of people. You also have a bunch of other really cool light vehicles for America, which are, as event vehicles, and also in the tech tree. Recently, the Stingray getting added. Like, imagine, do you want to play the Stingray or do you want to play the EFV? They're both the same BR, by the way. It's just wild to actually think about that fact when the Stingray is pretty much better in every single way than the EFV, in terms of survivability, in terms of firepower, and also in terms of just general mobility, should be very, very similar. But they did add more transmission gears to the EFV, so it might be better at accelerating and also decelerating. We'll have to see as it goes along. But just in terms of pricing, I just cannot see this thing going very high. There's just too many people grinding these things out nowadays. And I know 700k may sound a lot, and for the vast majority of people it is a lot. But you got to remember, in War Thunder, hundreds of thousands of people play this game every day, and also every few days. It is actually kind of nuts how many people play War Thunder nowadays, and how many people are able to use the market and sell a bunch of stuff on it. Even if about 1,000 of these get on the market, it won't be worth more than 20 Gaijin coin. There's just no way, because its longevity in the game is limited because of the fact that Gaijin always over-tier these vehicles which have access to this crappy Bushmaster and nothing else. So if you're looking to make a bunch of money on this thing, I don't think that's actually going to happen. But on the flip side of things, it'll mean it's more accessible for more people, and I think that's positive. I actually prefer when vehicles are cheaper on the market, because it basically means if people want to get access to them, they can, and that's way more positive than if they are basically just stuck there and looking at things and not being able to play them. The stuff like the Coelian changes recently should kind of show one of the problems of having these types of events or having ahistorical vehicles removed from the game. Once they change them, or once things move around, since people don't get access to them, it just creates a very unfair imbalance. So for me personally, I would like stuff to be as cheap as possible, but I understand that there's a lot of people who use these events in order to be able to grind out or be able to, purchase stuff with Gaijin coin on the Gaijin store and, go from there. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be a really big winner in that regard. Another thing to also mention is you can actually buy stuff for other games on the Gaijin store with Gaijin coin, such as, I believe, Active Matter, if you wanted to pick that up and give it a go. So, just a thought. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.